Okay, today is Wednesday, July the 20th. It is 6:06. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're back in session. Tonight, we have with us in the board, we have Nick Sakaro and we have Peter Surgeon, myself, Sarah Langet, Mr. George Seal and Greg Alexander, and the CEO, Hans van Moosen, who please the people that are joining us in the audience identify themselves.
Yes, Mike Hammond, Hammond Lumber, Don Becker, Haley Ward, Nolan Hammond, Hammond Lumber.
Matt Massey, Hammond Lumber.
Sadie Hammond, Hammond Lumber. Bethany Hammond, Hammond Lumber.
Thank you. So with that, we're gonna open, that was a roll call for agenda today, and with that, we're gonna go to new business. This is application for Hammond Lumber, located in map 4, lot 52. And this is with the purpose of a commercial development review ordinance, expansion and relocation of a planter mill, shaving building and dry storage building. We started the process of considering this application last meeting. Very strong application. We have basically the application completed with a few details that are, I think that all of them are wrapped up today. So we're gonna revise the missing items from the checklist and move on to close the completion of the application pending those items, of course. So in page 35 of the application, we have conditional approval with the certified contractor name. That's not gonna happen until construction starts, so that's the ones.
I have that in the packet, Sarah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so EL Vining is, you're gonna be your certified contractor.
Sheridan is the general contractor, Enel Biden is the site contractor for Sheridan.
Okay,
So
excellent,
all of you should have that in your packet.
so since that's
that's complete.
not in the original application, and probably would be best to have them write that in, initial it and date it right here, so that we don't, it's on the record, clearly on the record. You have the original application or just say,
Would somebody help me figure out the page that is in? Thanks. The first 2 pages.
Yeah.
What number is in the application?
I just put this royal erosion control stuff.
Name,
On
third, number
page
30.
10.
Names of contractor responsible for earthwork and soil disturbance. That will be it.
Yeah, right, so
So number 30.
striking out contractor not known at this time,
Okay,
and
we're gonna strike that out. And it will be
EL
John.
Vining.
John McLean from Sheridan.
Oh, no, it would be EL Vining because they're the actual certified
Oh, never
excavation
mind.
contractor.
Yes. I'm sorry about that. By this guys are from Farmington. All right. But the actual name of the contractor is David Durrell.
Well, there are 4 certified contractors under the EL Lining Company.
All
I'm
right,
not sure which of those 4 I'm gonna get, but each 4 have a unique DEP certification number, so it could be any one of those 4.
so should I include the number of the 4 of them here?
I would just leave it.
I'm gonna include that page
Okay,
with a note as to where it is. in the
And we just
application.
need somebody to initial
Sure.
and date that,
you wanna wait till the end to do that?
whatever,
We can do that, let's do that.
you don't forget.
30. Great, that's fantastic. Yeah. All right, so that's taken care of, then copy of the application provided by the fire chief to a planning board, we got that?
Let's say the usual. Right,
Yeah.
or,
It's one letter.
yeah, that's okay, I've seen it. I mean, I've seen the form letter, not that one.
Okay, and next item will be the noise assessment. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different little checklists. Is it work where impose the development noise monitoring and report plan? If not, mark not applicable. If required, mark complete open receipt. So I think I will consider this document the plan.
Yes, yeah, which demonstrates that the very conservatively will be able to meet this noise standard. So yes, I would say that's complete myself.
Information needed to meet noise standard, Article 6, Section 7. That's right here, I think.
Oh, that's complete. I think the item above, given that submission is not applicable. Would be my. vote. I think the noise monitoring is only really needed if there's some question of whether the standard can be met.
Okay.
And this is a conservative estimate, so 45 decibels.
Exterior lighting plan and specifications for lighting fixtures. Have that too there.
Basically, I had my draft person take our existing revisions and mark up all the lights on there. So we have floodlights, we have wall packs, and we have door security lights. And they cross the lights should be in that packet as well. I've chosen the full cutoffs, so I have resubmitted to Hans all of these plans with the lights on it as per your request to the bill, so. And they're all full cutoffs, yeah.
Complete. Is board requiring post development light monitoring reporting plan? That's not applicable. Written statement from the fire chief on capacity of fire department to provide adequate protection. We got that too. All the information to meet storm water management standard.
I didn't see that in my packet, at least. Maybe I'm missing something. It was gonna be the copy of the 5-year inspection
5-year
that's required by your
recertification.
DEP proposal.
We submit every 5 years, I somehow I missed that, didn't bring it with me. Can we
When
have that
we,
be a condition by the chair?
Sarah, why don't we, if the whole board's amenable, why don't we address that with a condition that it be submitted prior to the start of construction?
Yeah.
We could submit it tomorrow before, when we have it.
That would be prior to construction. Unless you got everything revved up and going.
Well, could we give it to Hans tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean,
mean, we're in
but,
compliance.
yeah. But you want to see the actual form or or just,
Whatever you submit the DEP for that condition would be more than adequate. Just photocopy it. I mean, that just demonstrates for the public record that not only is it there, but it's operating correctly.
Don, you think that's in our portal? In the drive?
it should be in your form, but check with the end.
It'd be okay, even before construction, if you have time for that. Then surface water waste disposal site evaluation form.
In your packet, our leach field evaluator, Dave Moyes from Moyes, Moyes up in Bangor, he came, we did test borings. And it was determined that the area that passed was right down along this area right here. It was his recommendation that he provide a letter of suitable soil in lieu of a full report, because he felt that prior to construction, he needed to be there and assess the construction of the field. So in your packets, you have a letter. It's not a full HHE 200, but it's a letter that he said he commonly uses with planning boards when the HHE 200 isn't completed yet. That being said, we're having a net neutral amount of employees, so we're not adding any employees, so it's not like we're adding a large burden. We could even take the bathroom right off if needed, but, so. We have an area that's ready to go. I just don't have the HHE 200 completed because he was backed up and said that this was sufficed. This letter, which he says he routinely does for municipalities.
But the intention is to submit that
Yeah.
prior to
Prior to
start.
commencement.
Yeah.
That's,
Is that-
That's good,
Yeah,
because the
Seems-
start clearly states that the soils are good, so let
Yeah.
them do it.
yeah,
From 10 employees.
I'm fine with that.
technically that falls under the plumbing code too, so.
Yeah,
it's a
Right.
Double.
so I just want to make sure you're good with that too.
All right. Next one will be. Actually, that completes it.
Yeah,
Wonderful. So I'm gonna place my copies hands. Right here. I don't know if you're gonna need them or not, but we're gonna-
You need my signature and then you're all gonna sign that when you're done, right?
yeah, I'm gonna recuse myself from signing. I'm gonna have Mr. Seal sign them, but we need somebody's signature here to get the contractor. That's the only place we're gonna need. We decided to change the original submission. So you can initiate
Oh, yeah, okay,
here,
yeah.
your initials and date. 7/20. Thank you. Wonderful. And so, this page 10, we fix this, but And, there with it. Yeah.
I have to walk the library.
So pending, conditions of approval will be pending, the submission of the HHE 200 and as well as inspection for the, stormwater management standard.
I thought we decided that what has been submitted is an adequate substitute for the HHE 200 form.
So, so we're gonna accept what has been submitted for that, so that will complete that then,
That form will be submitted to Hans
all right?
at the time of concern or prior to the start of that system.
Hans will have to inspect it.
Yeah, right.
Part of the plumbing procedure anyway, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like a double,
So there's a condition,
doesn't need to be conditioned.
Yeah.
another condition on that.
Yeah, I mean, typically, people submit that to demonstrate what the letter demonstrates that the soils are suitable for a subsurface wastewater system.
Okay, I misunderstood that, but the one that has condition, then we only one condition is inspection every 5 years of the,
Yeah.
a storm management standard.
For the stormwater, yeah.
That's the only one that we have a
Yeah.
condition, perfect. All right, so with that, I think we closing the portion of having the application complete. And,
You need to vote on that, of course.
yeah, so I will entertain a motion to approve the completion of the application as it is.
Make a motion to, that we determined that the application is complete for proceeding.
Second.
Second, and we have a roll call,
Yes.
Mr. Sakara, Mr. Sardi,
Yes.
Mr. Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
We have 4 yeses and 1 abstain. And I'm abstaining because of my relationship with the Hammonds. So with that, the application is complete and we're gonna move forward to work on the finding of facts.
I think we don't have anybody signed in, right?
No,
No signal.
Well,
it's, this table is broken. So it's for the audience to, I mean, this is working, just these are not,
Oh, okay.
so. the
So-
audience has
so
to
nobody-
watch you Live versus.
Nobody from the public is signed in.
And if they were, they'd see it on the
Yeah,
laptop.
right. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So,
So I
we
missed
don't
that.
need to worry about that,
Okay.
but I think we need to provide the full board an opportunity to ask any questions they may still have. In case there are any outstanding issues, we had quite a bit of a substantive discussion last time. More so than we normally do.
Inspirited,
What's that?
inspirited.
Always.
So any additional questions from the board in relationship to the application?
So we have 2 conditions.
Well, we just one condition.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and that will be submitted before construction starts.
Okay. I have no further questions.
So, with that, in that one, you have to add the letter of the fire marshal.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're gonna have, Mr. Seal proceed with the finding of facts. And bear with us, it's just the protocolarian thing is for the public. So, it will be reviewing the same things over, but it will take probably, I will say 10-15 minutes. We have to go through all of it.
It's a legal requirement and required by the ordinance that basically it's our demonstration for the record is that the project meets the performance standards of the ordinance. I'll read parts of this, so you're not totally in the dark. Since you don't have a copy, but it's Town of Belgrade Planning Board findings of fact, conclusions of the law. Under the commercial development review ordinance. Skip the ample stuff and some of this requires, actually, when we were in lockdown, it was almost easier. We did it all electronically and so we could cut and paste, but
Right.
I can't cut and paste by hand.
Yeah.
Project summary, cleaner mill. See, what were the other two buildings?
Shavings and dry shed.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Request submitted, no, it was not. Application review process, application was accepted as complete. Today's the 20th, right?
That's right.
7/20/23 was site visit conducted, no. Board meeting dates, so it was what?
Six.
What's that?
It was 7/6/23. That was one meeting for this
And today,
and today.
now to the review criteria findings. The application finds that board finds that the application is complete and the application fee has been paid in full. The application has requested in writing a waiver, that's not applicable. So the board, and we need to vote on each of these, so again, please bear with us. The board finds that the project will not or will cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the land's capacity to hold water. They will not,
Mhm.
and Nick
Will not. Will not.
will not.
Oh, no.
Finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on freshwater wetlands. I would say will not.
Will not. Will not.
Will not. Finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on Lake Pond.
I just needed a signature on the application. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We are at the end. Yeah.
Thanks, Hans. Board finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on lake, pond, or stream. And with the condition regarding the stormwater inspection, I would recommend will not.
Will not. Will not.
Okay. finds that the project will not or will provide for adequate stormwater management. Again, we have a condition now,
Will,
will not,
no,
will not, will provide for adequate, you're right. Thank you. Nick,
will.
Well,
likewise for me. 4-0. And, we actually have to give our rationale for each of these, and the rationale will be the same. Anybody that wishes to change it, let me know, but it would be according to application submittals and public records. Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Said project will not or will provide adequate sewage disposal. Things will,
Yeah, will.
likewise here.
well,
Finds that the project is located in a floodplain area and conforms with the Belgrade flood plain ordinance. Is not located in the floodplain, I believe.
Is not. Is not.
Thank you. Board finds that the project will not or will result in air or water pollution. Would, yes, will not,
Will not. Will not.
well, no,
will not. 4-0. Board finds the project will not or will have sufficient drinking water for current and foreseeable needs. I believe this is not really applicable, isn't it? There's no drinking water necessary for the facility.
We plan on drilling a new well. At,
Oh, you are, okay, all right.
it's not needed, but it's.
Yeah, okay, so very limited usage,
yes,
Yeah.
10 people.
so I would think will would be appropriate. Will,
Well,
same here.
That well, is that well gonna feed that new bathroom? Yeah.
The board finds that the project along or in conjunction with existing activities will not or will adversely impact the quality or quantity of groundwater. This is not applicable since there's no hazardous materials or petroleum storage.
Not.
Everybody in agreement with that? Okay. The board finds that the proposed activity will dispose of all solid waste in conformance with all local regulations, and the type and quantity of waste proposed be sent to the town transfer facility will not or will exceed its capacity. Seeing will not would be appropriate.
Well, not.
Will not.
well, no,
Will not. Finds that the project will not or will have a significant detrimental effect on adjacent land uses and properties affected by waste, noise, glare, lighting, fumes, smoke, dust, odors, or their effects from the project. I would think will not would be appropriate.
Will not.
Will not.
Will not.
well, no.
Board finds that the project will not or will cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions. I would think will not is appropriate.
Will not.
Will not.
Well, no.
Same here. Board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have an adverse effect on scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic and archaeological sites, or any public rights for physical or visual access to the shoreline of a water body. We think will not have,
Will not.
Will not. Will not.
likewise here. Board finds that the project to the maximum extent possible will not or will have an adverse effect on significant wildlife habitat and critical natural areas. Goes on to cite sources, will not have, would be totally nothing.
Will not. Will not.
Same here, will not, 4-0. The board finds that the project does not conform or conforms with all other applicable town of Belgrade ordinances, including but not limited shoreline zoning, minimum lot size, subdivision, multifamily dwelling, manufactured housing, mobile home park, solid waste and recycling, municipal street, road, adult business, no adult businesses, right?
No.
Nothing in the back. Conforms, I would think was appropriate.
Conform. Conforms.
Conforms, 4-0. Board finds that the project will not or will unreasonably increase the concentration of phosphorus in a great pond. Will not seems appropriate.
Will not.
Will not. No.
Will not, 4-0. Board finds that the project will not or will conform to material storage provisions of this ordinance. Will seems appropriate to me.
Will.
Will. Will.
Will, 4-0. Board finds the applicant has or does not have sufficient right, title, or interest to undertake the development. Has would be very appropriate, it seems.
And.
As
Same here, has 4-0. Finds that the applicant does or does not provide for safe and adequate parking. And I would suggest does. Same here, 4-0, does provide adequate and safe parking. The board finds that the project will not or will conform to all applicable provisions of this ordinance, including but not limited to development standards for specific activities. I would suggest will conform,
Will.
Will.
same for me, 4-0. Okay, now for conclusions. Therefore, the town of Belgrade approves the subject to the following conditions of the application of to develop and use the here, I develop and use the proposed project as described in the review criteria above. The alternative being, or the planning board denies the application. I don't see that happening. There's some standard conditions of approval. You're going to get a copy of this, of course, but there's some standard conditions of approval for all projects across the board. I'll just read those just for everybody's information. Number one is if construction has not been substantially started within 12 months of board approval, this approval and subsequent permit from the Belgrade Code Enforcement Officer are null and void.
That hasn't been updated.
No, it hasn't, so it should be 36 months. Thanks.
So it's been changed from 1 year to 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll initial and date that. Yeah, that was part of the changes that went along with the solar.
Oh, yeah.
amendments to the ordinance. Okay. So I've initialed and dated that. The board approval of this project as described above is limited to that described in the application and depicted in the accompanying plan and other application submittals. Except to the extent that the board has expressly indicated in this document that certain depictions may be revised by the applicant without further review and approval by the board. Any changes to the application, site plan, or other supporting application submittals must receive prior approval by the board, including but not limited to changes in the proposed location of structures, roads, parking, vehicle entrance and exit, wells, subsurface wastewater systems, method of waste disposal, extent, location of vegetated areas, material storage, outdoor lighting and signage, and methods of stormwater and phosphorus runoff control. Not unlike the standard conditions that DEP places on a site location development. A little different, but.
Yeah.
Unless a waiver from a specific ordinance standard has been requested by the applicant in writing and approved by the board, development or use is required to meet all applicable ordinance standards. And lastly, this board approval and its associated permit from the code enforcement officer is transferable to subsequent owners of the property. All subsequent owners are required to comply with the conditions of the project's board approval. So that brings us, any questions about that before we go? No. Project specific conditions. So we need one to deal with the submission of the stormwater system inspection report. And maybe something like prior to the start of project construction. To the code enforcement officer a copy of the required 5-year or is that a good description?
Yeah.
So, what do you folks and members of the board think to prior to start of project construction? Submit to the code enforcement, Belgrade Code Enforcement Officer, a copy of DEP's required 5-year stormwater inspection report.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Email.
Okay.
Mike, can you email me these updated images with the lighting on the building?
Sure.
So I have a redundant copy.
Does it still say 12 months on our website too? Substantial start.
I didn't look.
On the life of the permit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
it does.
Yeah, we need to correct that. As well as this one and. So with that, one specific project condition, and we didn't discuss any others, so I assume no others are needed. We're ready to vote, so I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the application, approve the application as submitted with one condition of a 5-year DEP. Yeah, finish it 5-year DEP
Inspection report.
inspection report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, Nick?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I'm also yes. So. Zero, and, so Sarah, I'm just gonna strike out your name
Sure.
and print my own name as vice chair.
Yep.
And so that's pretty much it, kind of anticlimactic, but so
Very easy application.
yeah, absolutely, well done. This along with the permit from code enforcement officer will be mailed to you. And that's it, except for the fireworks.
Okay, thank you very much all. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening. So I just need to fill in the rest of it'll take me a moment, so if you can take over from here.
You guys will break it. That.
Sing some songs and dance a little bit.
Taking a quick break.
First, and I situated my life, so that when you first stopped. Great thrill, so I'm just really excited. Because I'm so great that we're seeing you moving out there. Serving this phenomenal. Community one.
Well, good to see you. Good luck.
How are you?
What happened to you?
Ended.
Microscopic surgery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'll have a copy of your application.
Meaning, when I send to you. Okay, so I gotta get you the revised plans. Thank you, Hans, appreciate your help. Not a problem. That's all your job, guys. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Yep.
We'll see, Don.
I thought I had a spare, but I didn't make.
I thought I had the right number, and I did.
We did try to story this, so.
That's good. Nice to meet you. You will, okay.
Really kind of dumb. Did a stamp. I mean, when Peter used to be able to, on his computer, just cut and paste it in and just, hit a button and be done.
15 more. Keep it going.
I think the Portland, Oregon.
Well, I don't know, because I've been here since May 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So I have arranged my life to live here from May through October 15th.
Nice.
So I try not to leave unless I absolutely have to go somewhere for work. So
Yeah.
Kind of what you do.
I have my own small business consulting.
I was in California for a year and I meant to get up there, Northwest, never did. I really wanted to get to a lot of people, from that area, because they loved it up there.
It's beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Maine.
Right.
It is that, I was in Oregon one time, I got a ticket. But it is the nicest state to.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, I've never been, but, I see what I see on the news and last couple of years, doesn't look, too appealing to me.
It's an interesting thing to see what's on the news.
Yeah.
And then what I see, because I actually live right in downtown,
Really?
and like they'll take a small couple of blocks and they'll make it seem like the whole city is just falling
That's the whole
apart.
narrative of the country.
Right.
Right now.
Right, yeah,
They take the loudest people and that's
Right.
how everyone is.
right, so it's interesting,
Yeah.
it's still a good place.
I visited Portland once, and it was. Like you said, downtown, you got your, like any city, you have your inner city. Not so nice area. But a mile away, you can do a dinner cruise on the Columbian River. I mean, it's just. it's
Interesting,
beautiful.
the guy that discovered Portland, Oregon was from Portland, Maine. He
Oh,
was
really?
out there with a guy from Massachusetts and they said whoever discovers, the new land, and they were gonna name it after where they're from. I'm not sure what town the guy from Massachusetts.
Serious,
Yeah.
from Boston,
Yeah.
and apparently the saying is they flipped, a coin, and that's why we got Portland instead of Boston.
Boston, that's right, Boston was the other, yeah, Portland one.
One of those looks like, because they went to the lose.
So the legend goes,
Could have been named after Randy.
I'm originally from Boston, I wasn't there. I'm originally from Boston, no. Didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks then.
Yeah.
East Coast gets well, West Coast gets well.
Yeah.
spent 6 years in Austin, more or less.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
You
yeah.
going to school there for a while?
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, what school you going?
I did an undergrad at an all-women's college called Wellston.
Oh, yeah,
School. And then I did my MBA at Harvard.
I used to visit my.
all right.
We welcomed as much testosterone as possible.
Yes, yeah.
So,
I had a lady kind of in school, yeah. Good there.
Expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Do we also,
well, they have really good,
do we have to sign?
student loan program.
Yeah.
It's free, so, 30 years ago, it was like a totally different
Like this.
picture.
Hmm.
Today,
Residents.
I get two brothers still there.
Right, we are, so it's just.
Bad. Right.
Going across the border there. When you're coming back,
it's
you
true.
get back into Maine, like, back.
Yeah. So are we ready to get down here?
Sure.
All right. So, we're calling back the meeting to order and we're gonna proceed with a new business. And this will be application, Sean Craig, represented by Marisha Ann Thacker. And the location is 6 Chestnut Road, map 50, lot 23. And the purpose of this project is to transform camp from seasonal to year-round usage.
Oh, actually, that must be an old page, because I'm not trans. Last year, we had, presented, and at that time, I had thought I would do year round. After realizing that nobody else lives down there, year round, I realized it was not a wise, thing to do, and so this proposal was simply to put a foundation under the existing structure. And then add the allowed square footage to the back, and then to move it back as far from the lake as we feasibly could, given that the lot is teeny tiny.
Okay.
Excellent, okay.
And just so you know, as a matter of record, as you do that, it does meet the criteria for year round,
Oh,
because your septic is fine.
all right, well, I'm sorry to interrupt
But
that.
it's all right.
Great.
That's
I mean,
okay.
you're gonna insulate, you can do everything,
Yeah.
but you don't have to live here year round if you don't want to.
Well, another year stays, I will.
Excellent. So, that said, the current use of the property is residential. It's individual private. And the proposed construction or changing use, it will be to put a foundation, as I was explained, beneath the existing structure and add 445 square feet addition to the back of the camp, bringing the total square footage to 995 square feet. The system sewage disposal system type and capacity is 1,000 gallons concrete septic. The present number of bedrooms is 1. Bedrooms to be added under this application will be 1. When you purchase the property within the shoreline zone was in November of 2021. Since it was after November 6, 2018, we need to attach of the septic system inspection report, and that's included in the application. The total lot area is 9,100 square feet. The lot area within the shoreline zone is the same amount, 9,100 square feet. The square footage of the unvegetated surface within the shoreline zone, including all structures, driveways, parking, walkways, and pathways, is less than 1,000 square feet. The total area of clear openings of woody vegetation is 8,100 square feet. The total number of structures on the lot is 1. And the present structure square footage is 550 square feet. The proposed structure square footage is 445 square feet. And with that, I open the floor for discussion and questions about this application.
Is a 20% rule we gotta consider
No, it's
to work on?
14.23%.
Thanks.
In question 8, where it asks unvegetated surface area and you have less than 1,000 square feet, does that include more than just the proposed structures? Does it include the walkways and patios and?
Don't really, I mean, it's, I don't
It
have a
does.
walkway or, yeah, I mean,
Okay, all right, thank you.
She says less than 1,000, I have 1,050 calculated. And what I did is I calculated, big trees overhanging most of the roof, you know, where it's gonna be. And there's a small sitting area.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, it's not close to 20%.
No, and it's very, very heavy, I mean, it's a lot of heavy.
And that's the, in the unvegetated driveway, 300, house 995,
Yeah,
all 30.
oh, okay. I didn't even see this, yeah, thank you. The other question I had, and I have some comments too, but just to make sure I understand everything, the hand on the graph paper site drawing indicates that the maybe it's the north west corner of the addition is less than 10 feet from the property line, but the other drawing, this drawing indicates that it is this the correct one?
that's the official one. This was my attempt at doing it by hand, and that was taken from the official plot lines and all of that.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, very good. Thank you. And we have, Hans emailed us, I can't remember if you emailed the actual report or just noticed that you got it, the, on subsurface wastewater disposal inspection report.
from Quimby.
Yeah,
I believe you did that yesterday.
it's probably a file.
Well, as long as we have it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't indicate a failing system or anything of that nature.
No, if that system fails, there's gonna be a lot of people. Because it's a shared field.
Right. Oh, that's right. Good point. Right, I forgot about that. Right,
It's you recall Jim Smith that was in here,
yes,
direct neighbor,
okay.
so.
So, the board, is there any, the flat going in here at all?
Anyway,
A slab, you know,
the foundation.
okay, and the foundation is underneath the camp. What's the headroom? I'm kind of curious.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so how many feet from the water, you know, the proposed one is gonna be, the water, the lakefront gonna be what, so how many feet?
So you can going from 5 feet to 15 feet.
Okay, all right. And then the add-on there, going back further, what is that? Is that in the 75 feet or 50 feet? Or I'm kind of curious.
That will be.
80 feet according to your drawing.
80 feet back, right? So she can get into, what, she can go 20 feet in height, right?
She could
And
maintain
then
the
the building and then another, to get to the 5 feet, you can go for 35, but,
She has an existing 26-foot height.
okay,
The addition will only be 19 feet.
but,
The addition will be 19 feet,
right,
because the addition, it's on a slope. So you got a high 26 in the front, should be 19 in the back.
yeah, I just don't think could she go higher, you know, what, do the whole thing 26 feet?
I mean, technically she could if she wanted
Yeah, it
to.
might be, well, I don't know that.
Well, you can't go any higher than the original peak right now, because 26 is above what they're allowed.
So 25 to the 20, right, so she could go up to 26 because it was
She could go to
24.
the higher than the original, what it is right now, yeah.
Yeah, no, she could do that if she wanted to.
Yeah. It makes it difficult sometimes.
So you give you a little more headroom, you know?
Yeah. That would be fabulous.
Yes, I just want to point that out. And then she kind of kicked that around, and redesigned this.
Well, not for step inside the house.
Huh?
But you can't go any higher than what you have right now.
But she's proposing to go left, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't. What we have is perfect for me. And I was not planning to have a second floor, just, cathedral ceiling. So just to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, we were gonna keep the existing roof line from the existing structure. So Hunt, like from what you've seen, would this mean that the house gonna be like a second part of the house?
Or at least a step up. It's really, the house is the way you like it, girl.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the way I want it, so,
Well, it's measured from the low side. So whatever the low side is. You can't be any higher than that, so you're gonna keep that all the way back, even though it's on the higher side.
okay, perfect, that's,
You got a good design.
yeah, that's exactly what I wanted in.
Am I correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
Very much so, yeah.
No, you said you want a diesel feeling to do
Yeah,
it. So,
This application raises the same issue we had to grapple with Mr. Smith's application, and that has to do with whether it can, how we determine if it's being moved back to the greatest practical extent. You may recall that when we make that determination, it's before the addition is included. If you recall, Mr. Smith had to move laterally with his addition because of that. And so the question here is, at the moment, the proposal is to have the new camp or move the existing camp. So it's from 5 to 15 feet from the lake. And the question is, we shouldn't really look at the addition as a limiting factor to moving it back further. And so the question is, has it been moved back to the greatest practical extent on its new foundation? I don't know the answer to that just from the information we have.
So,
I mean, it seems to me that if you can put an addition, that means you can move it back further.
so how did we become, I know Rich brings that up and he says that, but. To me, that doesn't make sense, because. If you're allowed this amount of square footage, how can we say you can't have that square footage because you gotta move your house back there? So I'm not understanding where that came from and how that came up, and we don't have it in our ordinance. We have move it back to the greatest practical extent, and then we have hearsay. So how did that become?
yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think at this point, I'd like to go to the code, and let's read the practical extent, I'll find out where it talks about it, so we'll all know.
Because
We're about gonna,
it's contradicting itself, it's saying you can have this amount of square footage. No, you can't have that, because you gotta put your house in.
Well, here's my understanding of it. First off, remember that, when you have conflicts between parts of the ordinance, the most stringent applies. And secondly, that this requirement, along with the square footage, is in, the section of the ordinance that deals with non-conforming structures. This is a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot. So moving the greatest extent, practical extent applies to the non-conforming, existing non-conforming structure, not the proposed addition.
okay, that's fine, George. Can you direct it to the
It's section 12.
section 12? Okay, I don't have one in front of me. So it's, someone, what total?
Yeah, you're not gonna find it, I don't believe, in black and white like that. It requires using some logic as to how to interpret the ordinance.
Well, that's the thing, it's,
I mean, we can seek a legal opinion if you'd like, but, this is how we've been applying it in the past.
I've always questioned it all the time. Because it says you can do it, but then it says, no, you can't.
June 12th.
Section 12, there's non-conforming structures.
Yeah, what page we got?
Some in shoreline.
We try.
I'm not sure
Oh, 1 second. 1 second.
which.
Section 12, page 7.
Yeah,
Seven.
page 12 as well.
Page 7 and 12.
Page 12, it's paragraph 3, foundations.
Page 7, non-conformance. Right. Page 12.
In subsection 5, because that doesn't say anything about not considering the addition.
Yeah, but if it only applies, it doesn't apply to addition, it only applies to the existing non-conforming structure. So that's why the sequence of our thought process has to be, that comes first, then we decide on whether or not an addition can be.
See, that's what I want to see. I haven't seen that. I've just gone by what Rich Baker has said. And what I haven't seen it. I have no idea where that is and where it came from. He said somebody called him up and said this, you know, you're not supposed to do this. And so we've been doing it that way. Where does it say that?
I don't think you're gonna find it in black and white that specific. It's a matter of logic.
Then you're going on who's determining which logic you're gonna use.
Well, I'm perfectly okay if you guys disagree with me on getting a legal opinion from the town attorney. And that way we would have something in writing for our use perpetually from this point forward.
Mhm.
That's a good idea, yeah.
I think, I'm good with that. Because basically we've been going by hearsay. And hearsay's been that Rich Baker has one of his buddies from the DEP call him up and tell him that you're not supposed to do this. And that's the story Rich gives us. And so that's all hearsay as far as I'm concerned. There's no place in this ordinance that says that has to happen, but the ordinance does say you can have up to 1,000 square feet. So it does say one thing, but we're interpreting it to a point where it's by hearsay, and I want to see it.
Oh, yeah, I understand, Chris.
Because this isn't the first time, and we've been doing this to people, and they, as far as I'm concerned, if it says they have 1,000 square feet, they should be able to use 1,000 square feet.
But that, the 1,000 square feet is,
Or 750, yeah,
The
1,000
footprint.
square feet is the footprint.
so when we talk about square footage, it can be in any location, it can be on the back of the structure, it can be on the side of the structure.
Well, this is limited because she wouldn't be able to do it because if we made her move it back as far as she can, she's not gonna have the space to put it in.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm questioning.
What if she moves it back as far as possible, and puts the addition towards the water?
Well, that's what. No, you
She
can't.
can-
Can't do that.
Yeah.
It makes it more
The
non-conforming.
concept, what I reason with it is that she will have to move, because she's moving the original structure, she have to move it way to where she had the new foundation. And then from there, move laterally parallel to that
Yeah.
new set.
That's what Mr. Smith did.
Yeah.
So that will ruin her plans. So that, in the way I read the whole thing, the first comes first is that if she moving the original structure, she have to move it all the way back. And then once she places it there, then she can add the extra addition that she wants, and which is gonna have to be lateral. That's the way to read it.
The,
But maybe it's, there's a loophole into it. I don't know.
I mean, again, it's important to remember that, you know, like the conflict you're describing between a maximum of 1,000 square feet footprint and moving it back to the greatest practical extent is you have to meet all the requirements of the ordinance, not just one or the other. And so, and the most stringent is the most limiting. But I would suggest, given that there's considerable concern about this and disagreement, that or confusion, that, you know, we seek a legal opinion about it
Mhm,
before we make any decision, because this is gonna come up again and again.
I'm sure.
I mean, this is the third time that it's come up. And it'd be important to get it right.
Okay, to explain what we're talking about. So basically, the way we've been doing it is you have to move back as far as you can with your original, if you're gonna move it, you're gonna move it back as far as you can. With your original structure, which would put you right where your proposed addition is. But you could go laterally. So if you wanted to avoid, you know, a delay or stuff, you could go laterally across, as long as you're not beyond the front of your structure
Of the existing camp.
of the existing camp. So what we're talking about is something that we've dealt with in the past, that I feel that we don't have a great explanation of. And this is coming up again, and I would like to get it cleared up. So either way, we're gonna get a legal opinion. But if you don't wanna wait for that, then you can redesign, I guess, right? Is
Yeah,
that the way we do
yeah,
it?
that's how Mr. Smith handled it.
Your water lines goes like this now.
Yeah,
So in order to accommodate yourself, you're gonna have to move all that way. So then you can spend, instead of spending to the back, you will spend to the side. Of it.
That's the word.
You see what I'm saying?
oh wait, yeah, no, hold on.
Basically, we're saying, because it's the only thing now, they're gonna make you move that
Mhm,
back to here.
mhm.
And the only way that you'd be able to put this on would be over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
But
I hear your point. It's. But I thought the issue was that that there was something that said you can lean on to the back when you're.
You can only, well, you can't go any closer to the water, correct? Yeah, so you can't go forward. So it's there. So if you wanted to, move this back to here, so you're whatever distance from, 10 feet from there. You could go this way. You do have the limiting factor of that. But that's, the way it stands right now, that's what we're gonna have to make you do. Unless you wanna wait until we get a opinion.
And understand what you're saying, how long do you think? And I used to be married to a lawyer, so I know how long legal things can take. How long would you?
Well, so the way we've handled this in the past and kind of have to handle it is, one of us would volunteer to draft up the letter to the town attorney and bring it back for our next meeting in a couple of weeks, and full board would then edit it and ultimately approve it, and then it would be sent in. Our attorney's been actually pretty prompt, week, 10 days, something like that, certainly by the next following meeting, usually it's my recollection,
Resolved, yeah.
which,
So if we let,
prior attorney wasn't quite that prompt.
if we left the current camp in place where it is right now. And we remodel, can we add off of that then? We're not lifting up and. And jacking and putting.
Without doing the foundation.
Without doing the foundation,
I believe so.
I think so.
So a lot of the reason for us wanting to push this back. And do what we're doing is for the environmental control of the shoreline. The existing structure is shedding water right at the water's edge. I mean, this is what we're looking to try to prevent. Just by moving this back, we're changing this roof line and I'm gonna make this gable. And it's gonna shed water both sides now and take that erosion away from the water's edge where currently is a problem.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I completely understand where the board's coming from and get why you guys are in play. And I can see the gray area that we have here. We're not looking to try to build a big monster building. We're actually
No.
looking to try to, eliminate the erosion issues that we have here. We have watershed coming under the camp from behind it. The addition would help push that, or eliminate that. That's why we're pushing the foundation, so we can eliminate the water flow under the camp. But it's gonna be tough. It's a very small lot to work with, to move stuff
I
around.
mean,
that-
oh, I was just gonna say, we fully understand that your motivations are good, and, it's sort of a conflict between that and
Oh, I
what
get
the
it.
ordinance, what, at least how I interpret the ordinance and, so don't misunderstand, it isn't really about what your intentions are, because we understand they're good. It's just a question of how to put a square peg through a round hole kind of thing.
I mean, adding the extra little bit on the back is really to help justify the expense of the addition, to give it a little
Yeah.
bit more living space and make it a little more homey. Because I
Sure.
know it's a one bedroom, one room, 4 walls, not much there, so.
So, if you put all that in writing and send it to Hans, I think it would be great, because in my reflection here, the term, practical extent, okay, will be in play. And if by doing what you're doing, you're actually helping our cause,
Yes.
I would think it's something that it can be playable in that concept, the practical extent. So then another question for you. So to the right of that, looking from the lake, to the right of that addition that you're gonna put, is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to move to the left, to that right side? Meaning that that if we move if you're gonna be stuck, let's say that this will be kind of the worst case scenario. You'll be stuck with moving the existing structure all the way to the back. And then adding towards the right, because you don't have space towards the left. Is there anything there that will block you from putting your addition? Is there I see you put the septic, it's right there someplace on the right,
Yeah,
but
it could move over, but given the shape and the lay of the lot and, I mean, when you're parking cars in, off the
so
public
that's
right
an
of way,
incline or something like so.
it does make it a tough lot to use. I mean, we have a house in the middle of it with literally no room outside to really do anything.
So maybe understanding I cannot see that from the pictures. Maybe understanding
lay of the land,
yeah,
like, right.
yeah,
So basically, I'm trying to keep to the far left side.
yeah,
Keep that 10-foot buffer,
yeah,
move the house back, give her the addition, but still allow a little bit of a usable lot, you know, if they wanna have a fire pit or something like that outside, you're not in danger of, you know, having to slam a fire pit 10 feet off the side of the house, or, you know, just to make it, you know, have the addition, give her the extra space, and then still have a little bit of, you know, outdoor room to be able to enjoy the lakeside without slamming a house right in the middle of it, and then not having really any room around the exterior. Well,
I've got a question for the board. Maybe we may want to consider doing a site inspection.
Yeah.
To get a good feel for a lot. Right?
Yeah,
agree.
I agree, and we did that with Mr. Smith's property as well, because it was hard to visualize, some of the limiting factors and but if we do, well, if we do that, I think, if we're gonna get a legal opinion, I think we should do it concurrently rather than do it in sequence, so we're not chewing up a lot of their time.
Yeah.
So, you wanna open your counters? Mr. Moore, we can do that.
Not cool anymore, so I'm very well.
Awesome. So, this Saturday I can do in the morning,
I prefer on a weekend, but
not a weekend.
Right.
You wanna do it now,
When
tomorrow?
we need only less than 3 people to go then. Because it's a public meeting, 3 of us go. But,
Yeah, I can go tomorrow.
You can go tomorrow
Yeah.
in the morning?
It's Friday, right? Tomorrow morning, Friday? Yeah, I can.
see if now we schedule it off, how long, a week, how long do we need?
Do we,
Yeah, I think
okay,
it's
but
a
we have to give public notice to this.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
has
but
to be seven
yeah,
days.
we need to keep it to 2 people. So that we don't
Unless
have,
we give the notice.
that way we don't have to give the notice and delay it.
I think we need,
There's 3 of us is a quorum and that's a public meeting.
yeah, I think we're gonna need 3 people at least, 3 eyes, rather than just 2. Because if we don't agree, we
Well-
do that, go, don't agree.
Well, if we advertise the meeting tomorrow, 10 days still puts you before the next meeting.
Sure.
So you can make a decision at the next meeting.
I mean, either's fine with me, the fact that
1, 2.
I couldn't go tomorrow, but you know, if Greg goes or if Pete goes or you go, it doesn't matter to me, it's
So
a
the
matter of just what you're observing.
the earliest will be Monday, the 31st, through, so we'll have the 31st, the 1st, or the 2nd of August.
Yeah, I can't do the 31st.
What about the 1st?
As far as I know, I'm good.
On the 1st?
I can't, I'm gonna be in Boston,
Okay. So,
not Portland, but Boston.
so. I heard.
Can you give 2 teams of 2, or does that negate the limited discussion?
I don't
So
follow it.
if you 2 went
Sure.
Friday morning and
The
you
other
2 went a separate time, then we wouldn't have a quorum, but you would be talking at the exact.
That's a
same
good
time.
idea, but I will not vouch for that. It's better to be together, whether it's 2 or 3, and looking at the same stuff all the time, the same, when we go that with that meeting. So,
So when's our August meeting, what day?
so as a matter of fact, that weekend not gonna be available, so it will be Peter, Greg, and Nick. If you guys go on the Monday the 31st, Tuesday, August 1st, or Wednesday, August 2nd.
What works best for you guys?
Any of those days,
Yeah, but
but if it's weekday, it's gonna have to be at night, that's not fine, okay, I wouldn't be able to make a day.
Like what time?
Kick it, 4:45, 4:30.
4:30, what day, Greg? Before the day, it's 4:30, one of those 3 days.
Do it, Wednesday night before the meeting.
Wednesday night,
Is that good?
Yeah, that works for me, yeah.
Members should be fresh.
4:30, okay, 4:30, August 2nd, that's it.
So Sarah, I'd be willing to take a shot at a first draft of a letter to the attorney.
August, I'm sorry, August.
August,
3rd.
yeah, August 3rd, no, August 2nd, which is a Wednesday.
Oh, I thought you said before the plan, I think literally the day of the planning board.
No, planning board,
Okay, so
on
August
Thursday.
2nd. Okay,
Wednesday
Wednesday the 2nd.
the 2nd, that's right,
What time?
4:30.
And that is at the property.
How do we get,
That is right here, out of the,
Yeah, it's super easy. You just turn left on 11.
Yeah.
And it's Fire Road 8, or there's Walnut Lane, there's a tiny little sign for it, then you veer down the Bravo.
so you go to the end of Walnut Lane, towards the lake.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then you take
Next door
right,
to Jim.
yeah,
what's the old fire road number here?
8.
Is
So
there a
8
sign-
Fire Road.
Is there a sign there?
The sign says Walnut Lane.
Okay,
If I was to put it in ways, what would be the best?
okay,
It comes up with Chestnut.
all number will come up.
yeah, all the way
Hey,
to.
six-
Chestnut will come up this way,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, what was Chestnut, but is it Walnut?
The same as on the application.
Walnut take you to Chestnut. That's where it is?
Right.
Yeah.
Go off of Route 27, Chestnut.
Right off of 11. So 11, you go down Walnut, and then you take a right onto Chestnut. And I believe Walnut is also called Fire Road 8.
Oh,
Okay, so Walnut Lane first, right off of Route 8, and then Chestnut. And the number is what Chestnut? Is there a number up there, a name?
It's 6.
It says number 6? Okay,
There's only 3 houses on Chestnut, so. Look a little, it's a tiny little road.
okay. Thanks.
So Hans, I'll try to get that draft letter to you the Friday before, so you can put it in the packet.
would it be appropriate that, they send their logic about why you want to relocate and how that's gonna help the drainage there? Send it to Hans and then Hans, follow.
I can send in a copy of the application. With it, so he has all the information.
Because there is on page 13 in determining whether the building relocation meets the setback to the greatest practical extent. The planning board shall consider the size of the lot and slope. And, it talks about the runoff, soil erosion. So if it's benefiting, if it's eliminating some soil erosion or erosion, it seems as if it's saying here that, look, we can look at it more, but that would affect the practical extent setback.
So putting that in,
That's relocation.
That's
But
something
if
that
you look
definitely,
at the next section of expansion. Reconstruction or replacement.
Well, we were talking about relocation of the existing structure. Correct?
And that was, yeah, destroyed or. But
What I'm
also,
saying is, I haven't really read it, I'll read it again, but. It seems as if the relocation of the existing structure as far as it pertains to the practical extent of moving back. Has some play in there if the reason is because of soil erosion, we're trying to negate soil erosion.
that would be definitely something to look at when you're on site. And if I understood correctly, the source of the problem is water coming down the slope underneath the camp rather than what's coming off the roof.
It's coming under the camp from the backside. You can see they've like thrown carpet and stuff in under there over the years to try to stop it. And then it has a shed roof off the front side of the building that drops 3 feet back from the water edge.
Right. I mean, there would be other alternative ways of dealing with what comes off the roof, but it sounds like that's not the entire problem by
Yeah,
any
but in
means.
propose building the new one, I wanna change the roof
Right.
completely, so I gable end that lakeside, divert the water to the side, and then we can mitigate it.
Right.
Now, with that, all that explanation from them will help you when you're doing the letter to a lawyer.
I'll make a note of it.
I mean, that's the issue with every part of this, because non-conforming structure may be relocated within the boundaries of the parcel on which the structure is located, provided that the site of relocation conforms to all setback requirements to the greatest practical extent. That's determined by the planning board. Then later it talks about the erosion, so
So you think the erosion will not
well,
play
it's the
in that?
same thing with Mr. Smith.
Hmm,
The whole point was to stop the water from running down the hill under the house and eroding around the foundation. You know, or around, and same case, running right underneath, not even around the foundation, but walking out from under the house. Yeah. So then we get into the expansion part of it.
all right, so, with that. All right,
I have one more scenario.
sure,
So the way that is, well, never mind, that scenario, we figured out. I was gonna say, if they just moved it a little bit, but then we still get the track from the.
You know, what is it, instead of the greatest practical extent, so they put a foundation.
but then I guess my thought is, what practical stand means? Are we taking the concept of erosion in play, or?
Well, that's where you get latitude on the planning board.
Yeah, I mean, the section of the ordinance that Nick just cited is the closest we have. There's no definition in the back, and so that's the closest we have in terms of guidance on the things we should be considering that Nick cited earlier.
So, with that, I guess we're gonna ship this out to the lawyers and see what they say, so we are in the right with everybody. We have to have the same rule for everybody, you know, the same stick.
Yeah.
And, so, we'll hear from them, we will do the site visit. And then we will reconvene in 2 weeks. So that's good with you guys, great. So I will entertain a motion to, possibly table.
Do we do that, or do they ask to be tabled? Table this until the August.
Yeah, I need a second.
I'll second.
All right, we're gonna go, and so we're gonna have a motion and second to table the application for the next meeting.
Yeah, I didn't-
Yep, we already have it,
oh, okay,
so I'm gonna vote. So, Mr. Sakara.
yes,
Mr.
Yes.
Sargent, I say yes, Sarah Langet, Mr. Seal,
Yes,
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
So 5 yeses, none opposed, and we're gonna table the next meeting.
Do you want me to send you anything in writing to summarize?
The erosion part to hands.
To Han? Okay.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be helpful, because as you heard in the discussion, that may be a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And out of curiosity, is there like an overarching statement on the code, like the whole purpose is this is erosion is our number one goal, or is there any kind of overarching principle that's legally stated?
I answer that. question.
Purpose, I guess, section kind of.
I think, you know, I like to tell people that, you need to read the code, right? Like, you know, I don't know your background, my background is, I get into a lot of legal stuff. And you gotta read your code, you know, law and regulations. And just to do that, it takes time, like we have a heck of an investment here, a lot of money involved, a lot of value, potential value, or existing value, whatever you wanna call it. And so you need to get up to speed.
Well, no,
That's all.
I'm asking the question from the standpoint of, given that there's conflicting issues about moving as far back as possible, versus. I think what I'm trying to say in plain English is. Am I correct in thinking the purpose that we all want is to be as ecologically friendly to the land as possible?
That's a great
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah,
The misuse of the land affects the lakes. And then if the lakes get bad, then we all suffer, because a lot of our economy move around the lakes.
because this is a zoning ordinance, it has. In the purpose section of the ordinance, which comes straight from state law. Because as you may or may not know, this kind of ordinance is mandated by state law. There's like 12 things there, so they don't set any real priorities.
Give an order.
Yeah, right, but for example, I mean, I won't read them all, but it includes to protect freshwater wetlands, to control building sites, placement of structures and land uses. To conserve shore cover, conserve natural beauty, open space, and anticipate and respond to impacts of development. It's so. And one of them is to control water pollution, so it's sort of like. The whole kitchen sinks in there.
Yeah, that exactly answers my question.
And nothing's black and white, everything's a little convoluted, every application's a little different, every piece of land's a little different. So it's hard to interpret and apply everything to each and every application as far as I'm concerned. But I do want an answer on this greatest practical extent, and once you write a draft, and I may chime in on it a little bit with a few questions, with a few things.
Thank you. So, thank you for being here, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
This is just I only raise this because it's important for us to be equitable and treat everybody the same way and consistent with the ordinance is the only way I know how to do that. And so this does not speak to what I think of your proposal per se.
Because we're gonna work with you and see how we can do this.
Yeah, let's do the on-site visit, and then everybody can put eyes on it.
Sounds like a good plan. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Yep. Have a good evening.
So we move in agenda to, I have, extra documents here. We're supposed to,
Yeah, we can do that after the minutes.
okay, so let's go into approve the minutes for tonight, for the meeting of July 6th. So here's some time to go over it. And
He decided to nominate Craig Alexander as vice chairperson. Craig Alexander did not accept the nomination.
Yeah, that's pretty tough if we get recorded what we didn't do. Minutes could get awfully long, too.
So we're good? So I did a motion to approve the minutes of July 6th.
I actually have a couple of corrections.
Okay,
The first under call to order, all the attendee under, in-person attendees, then it goes online attendees, all those folks were here in person, so we should cross out online attendees.
Yeah.
That includes Tyler Evans and all the folks from Hammond. That's on page 1. On the second page, under 2, the discussion of Tyler Evans' request for a modification to the subdivision. Under discussion, the first line, subdivision was originally approved in 2004 and nothing has altered since then. That's not quite right. There was one lot that was re-subdivided. I would either say that or just cross out and nothing has been altered. Probably that's simpler.
Just cross out nothing's been.
Yeah, let's see, and the second to last line, Tyler Evans wrote and submitted the letter at this meeting. He also submitted a revised plat plan, so I think that should be added there. So Tyler Evans wrote and submitted the letter at this meeting for review along with a revised plat plan. That doesn't make any freaking sense.
Letter on this, but and revised plat plan at this meeting.
What's that?
Tyler wrote and submitted the letter and revised plat plan at this meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see.
so for review and approval, we discarded.
No. Because that did happen. So we just
Yeah.
had to include the plat plan.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
just inserting that. I'm just making notes here.
Okay, thanks.
And then on page 3, and this is under the our discussion of that Hammond lumber proposal. There's a bulleted list of items missing from the application and there are 2 items missing. Applicant needs to submit lighting plan, which we discussed earlier, and applicant to provide copy of DEP required inspection report of stormwater system. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other changes? So now, can I entertain a motion to approve them?
We approve the minutes of July 6th as amended.
Second.
Ready to go? Mrs. Carl,
Yes.
Mr. Surgeon,
Yes.
Sir Longet, yes, Mr. Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander. Right, 5 yeses, no, none opposed. Minutes are approved. So, we're gonna have our CEO update.
Well, not so much about the. Just clarification so I can do my job better.
Okay,
First page, you got this drawing with the Lake Yellow Brick Road on it.
yeah,
Question came up, somebody's looking at a 7-acre lot, about 4 acres of its wetland. There's already a path through it to the water. Okay,
Where the yellow,
yeah,
mm,
similar to it.
yeah, okay.
So, 3 acres plus minus are wooded. It has road frontage, otherwise conforming lot. With 7 acres, let's just, for sake of argument, say we have a 1 acre minimum lot size. How many houses would be allowed to be built on this lot?
Depends if they wanted to subdivide or not.
No subdivision.
No subdivision, you have 350 feet road frontage. What do you need, 200 per house?
Yeah, I believe
Unless
that's
you put
correct.
it right away. Put in a right away or a shared driveway.
No,
And how much, shorefront?
Equal 350 or actually like 700.
So, just like with the road frontage, the short frontage has to be proportionate.
It's like 700, 800 feet.
So, so more than enough, what you're saying. So, the area outside of the wetland is that partially in the shoreline zone?
Nope.
So it's only the minimum lot size ordinance that applies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 40,000 square feet per dwelling unit, right?
but you don't want to subdivide.
No, they just want to put a bunch of houses. Like
And 200-foot road frontage, so you'd have to,
So one fly in the soup here is that it would trigger, 3 would trigger, I believe, I haven't looked at this ordinance in ages, but I believe, and you'll need to double check this, the multi family dwelling unit ordinance from right after the Ice Age.
I don't think it's a multi-family dwelling or buildings, but they're gonna do individual houses. Cabins. Primary dwelling
Yeah,
units.
I would double check that in the ordinance. I can't say with any authority on, so I just can't.
It says not more than 2 residents, resident could use. Has to meet all the setback dimensions.
like, that's gonna be cabins, or is it gonna be residents?
I think
Yeah.
the residents, it says
That
not
could be
more
important.
than 2 residential dwelling units shall be permitted on any one structure, so that could be questions. Basically, it says it needs to meet the characteristics. If there's more than one, it needs to meet all the characteristics
Of a single.
of a single. So you've got, if we just say we have 1 acre zoning, you got 7 acres, you should have be allowed. My question. My flying point is you got 4 acres of wetland. Does that count towards the parcel? That's not buildable. It's not.
Well, you only have 3 acres, I don't know.
Yeah, this is just little quiz here I'm giving you.
Yeah, so far we're failing.
Because,
So if there's wetland within this 250 feet, right?
yeah, but
250 feet,
the usable land is all outside.
oh, 250 feet. So you're not talking shoreline zoning at all.
Nope,
So we're into this regular.
minimum lot size.
Oh,
And if they're just putting cabins, that's probably a little different than it is residential. So if they put 1 house and then cabins, there's
Our minimum lot size doesn't discriminate against cabins versus residential dwelling units.
Yeah, but to meet the
They-
definition of a residential dwelling unit, doesn't it have to have all the elements of bathroom, kitchen,
Mhm.
bedroom?
So is that,
And
that's
I
all,
think, maybe I misunderstood your point, but what if it was truly a bunkhouse kind of thing?
so they have bathrooms, then they have to do,
Couple
certain distance.
facilities.
yeah, with
Let
it.
me make this simple. Let's say we do 7 tiny homes,
Okay, all right, so,
fully contained units. Bathrooms, bedrooms.
yeah, so that brings us back to your earlier question, do the wetlands, the area of the wetlands count towards the total acreage? Under the minimum lot size ordinance, when you're calculating 40,000 times 3 or whatever the number is.
I think my biggest thing would be still needs 200 feet of road frontage,
Yeah,
so
Per lot,
per tiny house.
for tiny house
so
at the
a
moment.
shared driveway.
No, public road frontage.
Private road in.
Oh,
Still
private.
one lot, they're putting these on one lot. They're not creating 2 lots.
But that would kick it into a subdivision, then. 7 places, putting a road in, because we have a minor subdivision, but you can't put a road in, we just changed. it.
Yeah,
Subdivision comes in when you're dividing the lot.
and
Dividing.
the ordinance makes no distinction between public road or privately owned road. It says that have at least 200 feet of road frontage on a public road or a privately owned road.
Per dwelling.
Per dwelling.
Yeah, per dwelling.
So the new dwelling would be 250.
So they can do only one unit,
So,
they have 350.
It actually makes reference to, doesn't say what it says, but it does make reference to the, multifamily housing ordinances. That needs to be complied with as well. But I don't see anything quickly looking at this that even addresses, not counting unbuildable land, whether it be wetlands or slope or whatever it might happen to be, bedrock.
I would, off the top of, I would think you would count the non-buildable, towards your acreage. But you still can build there, but I don't see how you could put 7 tiny homes.
Because
Well, certainly that would be a subdivision at that point.
Without subdividing,
Even if it's a family compound.
yes. Because it's 7 residents,
I think so.
I would think, so.
I would think so too, but what's up with that?
And with multifamily.
I don't think I've ever seen a multi-family house in ordinance for Belgrade.
Never seen what?
Multi-family housing.
What are you
ordinance.
reading?
This is the minimum lot size.
I don't have it with me, but, I got a copy from Mary Goldberg.
I'm sure.
But if it's a subdivision, they have to be certain distance from the wetlands too. Isn't,
Yeah, but that's easily met. That's 75 feet.
So, here's the definition of subdivision. Of course, it's got the, dividing a tract or parcel into 3 or more lots. Within a 5-year period of time, but it also goes on to say this definition applies whether the division is accomplished by sale, lease, development, buildings, or otherwise. That's not relevant here. The term subdivision also includes the division of a new structure or structures on a tract or parcel into 3 or more dwelling units within a 5-year period. The construction or placement of 3 or more dwelling units on a single tract or parcel of land.
Placement,
Yeah,
3 or more.
right.
Parcel of land, okay. So it does trigger subdivision. See, that's why we ask these questions, but going back to my personal thing, so the wetlands does count as area.
I think so. I don't see anything in the minimum lot size ordinance.
So this scenario was basically a scenario. But it's leading to a different scenario.
Well, before you move on, I don't know if part of your scenario is what zone is it in the wetland and in the shoreline zone? Is it resource protection?
Well, no, yeah, no, yes. The wetland is resource protected.
So it's truly undeveloped.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the minimum lot size, I don't think even that's a factor.
No,
I don't see
you
anything.
border it, but now up here on the corner, you got a lot for sale. It's advertised as 3.75 acres. And the only usable part is right on the road frontage. Where that old blue house is across from Chris, the opposite corner from the old town hall. Because the slope, that's all resource protected.
Yeah, that boat district there,
So,
where would they want to put 7 places?
I'm not talking 7 there,
But they can't do anything on that slope, so.
Yeah,
so they have the skinny
Yeah, they
a house or apartments.
can't do much with that. They're gonna finally move that truck or car that's been there for, I don't know how many
I think
decades.
they took a car.
Those are
That was a
the
Mercedes, wasn't it, or something?
Porsche,
Or, there was some sort of
little 924 Porsche.
Porsche, yeah.
You know, there were trees growing on that, truck there, on one point.
All right, so anyhow. Moving forward, I printed off this planning guide from Bath, Maine, because we need to do something. We mean, you guys come up with the rules and I'll come up with enforcement. Because these accessory dwelling units are coming. So here's your bunkhouse with a kitchen. Where the mouse did. They've got to be on slabs. You know, as a permanent house, they're not temporary.
So these are guidelines from Bath rather than,
This is, yeah, it's a handbook, get that put out for people to understand better.
yeah.
But go like page 6, they have lists of outlines of what they put in their ordinance.
Oh, okay.
And this other paper here, which was put out June 16th by the state, and it's clarifying certain articles of this provision they're creating.
Yeah, and it also gave us another year.
Well, we have to have it implemented by, is it June of 2024? Right.
Which is really isn't that much time.
No, it's not. That's why I thought we'd start reading and studying and getting this into our heads. So that we can present something to the select board and they bring it to the town meeting. We all look confident at the end of the day.
Well, I agree, but I think this is only one of a number of things that we need to focus on. I mentioned this in the email that I sent all of you, that we also have unfinished work with regard to implementing the subdivision ordinance and the commercial development review ordinance since the latest revisions in all of those. You know, we need to revise the applications, we need to revise the findings of fact, et cetera. And, you know, it's kind of a question of how do we divide and conquer all those tasks? And this is one of the other tasks is figuring out.
But it's the state mandate.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't think I mentioned this when last May or April, when we just last discussed this accessory dwelling unit law from the state. I had a email conversation with the staff at the Department of Economic and Community Development, and it was just prior or around the same time I had distributed the guidance that they've come up with, which and they were at the time in the process of developing regulations on to implement that law. And I haven't looked at those, but the law has changed since they developed those regulations, and I don't know to what extent that's impacted it, but be that as it may, one of the questions I asked them was, how's this law gonna be enforced? There's no enforcement mechanism. It isn't even, there's no state agency even assigned to enforce it. So, and the impression I was giving was a good faith effort's gonna go a long way. And so, I'm not saying we shouldn't comply with the law. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying, 1 year, even if we had our shit together right now and we had recommendations for the select board on how to go forward, which we don't, because I don't even understand this law yet. You know, 1 year would be tough for us to finish it up. I mean, when you look at all the other ordinance stuff that we've done, it's always taken over a year. And given that we have to bring it to the voters and just the process in general, reach consensus here, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, as I suggested in my email to everybody, I think, and if we could do this at the next meeting, great. I don't know what else is on the agenda. I think we need to have a discussion about all these tasks that are before us, including this, and figure out which one comes first, how to prioritize and who's gonna do what, et cetera. I mean, I don't know, should we develop a subdivision application first? I don't know. How likely is it we're gonna get a full blown new subdivision? More likely, we're gonna get more revisions, but, are we gonna get a new solar development? I don't think so, but who knows, to a certain extent, we're, just rolling the craps, but the dice, and then we have this that we definitely have to work on.
I see the easiest way to do this is we revise the minimum lot size. Because they do give standards of an accessory dwelling unit is a minimum of 190 square feet, but they don't give a maximum. And like that. And some other towns have gone ahead and said no more than like 360 square feet. That way you don't have an accessory dwelling unit superseding the primary residence. Keeps it small. They also could have implemented rental terms. No less than 90-day rentals, so you cannot do this and create an Airbnb out of it unless it's for the whole summer. So they've taken this and used it as an opportunity to implement other restrictions.
And that's in the new law.
It's not in the law, it's just what some towns have done. You're allowed to make short-term rental rules, and regulate the sizes.
And
where Butler's actually making kits now.
the
Put a slab, put them up in a month.
can't even remember where I saw this. Maybe it was my wife gets this publication from MMA still, even though she's retired. Maybe it was there, but Camden's just enacted accessory dwelling unit ordinance, and I took a glance at it. It's real way over the top in terms of, it's built into their zoning ordinance, and as you can imagine, Camden's are pretty complex, and so I didn't really entirely understand it. But one thing I did pick up on was they do the accessory dwelling unit has to be owned by the landowner. And apparently the purpose is to avoid the problems they've had in other parts of the country where corporations come in and they buy a home and then they put accessory dwelling units on it on the lot and rent them out, as you said, for short-term rentals. That's Camden's one town that's doing that, whether we would want to or not, I don't think, but speaking for myself, I just need to get up to speed. There's so much, it's kind of confusing to me, partly because I think the focus of the law really is the suburbs of Portland, but it may be simple for a town like ours to, comply. It's just hard to figure that out at the moment. And one of the things I would like to do is I'd like to discuss whenever we put it on the agenda of what information and assistance we could get from Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, because they are being charged under this law and by the state, along with the other council of governments, with helping towns, assisting towns in implementing this law. And so I'd like to know, I mean, they haven't gotten it, to this, I understand, they still haven't gotten a red cent from the state to provide that assistance, which is, it's easy to pass laws, but it's a lot harder to implement them. And one of the things you got to do to implement them is get the money out, but.
Well, right now we have an ordinance that says people can't do this. But that's July 1st. And there's people already asking, how come I can't do this? It's part of the new low-cost housing, affordable housing act. So people are ready to just go ahead and do it. If we don't have an ordinance in place.
Yeah, I don't know
The
where that
state
leads us.
ordinance and our ordinance are gonna be in conflict, so our minimum lot size ordinance is kind of gonna be new.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So I would be interested in knowing what kind of interest there has been, or, what kind of scenarios people are talking about. Are they talking about a place so that their parent can live on their lot, or are they looking for a rental, or are they looking for, what's the interest?
Well, that's why we kind of need to put a short-term rental clause in it, because everybody's gonna say it's for their in-laws or for this or that, but moods change, houses get sold, new buyers.
Well, this gets back to, in a town that has a history of cottages being rented on a short-term basis,
Yeah, it's not.
but I mean, we can discuss it. I think we need to tread lightly, though.
I'm still not even grasping what the problem is to start with accessory dwellings. We already have rules in place for an accessory dwelling. A bunkhouse accessory dwelling. I don't understand what you're having was such a problem with what we have in place.
So here's my limited understanding, and jump in, Hans, that this really doesn't apply in the shoreline zone.
I don't know.
And so the issue is it's an effort to provide lower cost housing by allowing greater density development in towns that have, say, minimum 2 acre lots and that kind of thing, like Falmouth or, Cape Elizabeth or places like that.
Is there a population thing? 'Cause
No,
I know that in building codes, Belgrade doesn't conform with some of these state codes
yeah.
because of our population.
I think there should have been, but anyway, because I don't know what problem it's really gonna solve. I don't think. My personal feeling is I have yet to see how this is really gonna help provide affordable housing in any meaningful way.
Well, I've been hoping to see it come, to be honest, because it'll make my job easier. It'll give you more work. Because right now, what this will do. What this will do is allow the Fonzie apartment above the garage. Fonzie lived above the Cunninghams, you had a kitchen and everything,
I
right?
like that analogy.
Right now, that kitchen is illegal, makes that structure illegal. This
Well,
makes it legal.
No, it isn't illegal. It's just that they need, like you were discussing before, they need the lot size of adequate, twice 40,000 square feet in that case.
But where it makes it affordable is it allows you to create the in-law apartment attached over the garage or convert the garage, whatever. So now you can have your parents live with you rather than put them in a home.
One of the issues that this email discussion I had with, as it turns out, she actually lives here in Belgrade, I think out on the Dunn Road, one of those subdivisions out there, but this staff person from the Department of Economic and Community Development that she said she's heard religiously from small towns is, how do you accomplish what this law attempts to do without in densely, more dense, in smaller lot areas without contaminating neighbors' private drinking water supplies by septic systems.
Well,
So that's an issue that's of interest to me. I mean, there's no doubt a way around do that, but I mean, there's some soils in Belgrade that probably shouldn't be developed at a density greater than 40,000 square feet because the soils are so limiting, but you know, there's a whole way of different, all kinds of ways to skin that cat, but I just, anyway, I think we need to definitely get smarter. We need to come up with a plan how to do that because we can't really be making recommendations when we really don't understand the ramifications of the law.
Would be advisable to buy KV Cog here and see what they have done?
I'm sorry.
Would it be advisable to place a call on KV Cog and see what they have done so far into it?
We could do that.
And start putting, you have good information to start with here, but for instance, when we did the soil ordinance, we have copies of different towns and we were able to compare and understand where we were going with it.
I mean, if the question is as simple as asking what assistance they could provide us and could they bring us up to speed and what assistance could they provide us? I'd be happy to do that. I kind of know the head of their land use section from another committee that I served on, but if you want me to, I'll be glad to do that. People think that would be a good, at least one step to take.
Well, I guess I'm still not grasping this, so any information is good information.
but this does,
Whatever it is, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
this takes it from being an accessory structure to an accessory dwelling unit. New definition. So you're allowed to have two kitchens on one property. As long as one is subordinate to the other. And it's not a short term, I mean, but we can. Opportunity to put rental restrictions in there to stop there.
What is the downside of like short-term rentals?
Like
Why restrict, why?
parking, noise ordinances, you know, when you get someone coming in renting it just for a weekend. You don't have the same respect for your community as a long-term rental. And that's what everybody, all the pushback has been, is about making it Airbnb in everybody's backyard.
So like, there's been quite a bit of press coverage of this in South Portland. Why South Portland? I'm not quite sure, but and the issues that they were trying to deal with were similar to what Hans described, where, I mean, this wasn't accessory dwelling, these were prime, you know, these were some houses, but you know, the short-term rentals, you know, people would rent them for and they would be in, you know, a regular residential neighborhood with families and stuff for bachelor parties and things of that nature on occasion and create a lot of noise, a lot of vehicles, parking. If you've ever driven in the back streets of South Portland, parking could be a real issue down there. I think those are the two things that I recall, maybe sometimes littering, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the purpose of the bill is to provide affordable housing for, you know, your kids graduate college and have nowhere to go. Well, you can put up a little house. Them stay, your in-laws.
Well, it's sort of a variant in some respects of, you know, what happens on farms a lot of times where there's the grandma, grandpa house built next to the farmhouse.
I like that. I like the idea of being able to move
We're
vans.
like the Amish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, you know, I mean, it kind of touches on long-term care by families and all that.
All right,
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, outside of shoreline zone. It allows people to, I mean, other states have allowed this for decades. I mean, Bonzi, he had one. How come Maine doesn't allow it?
So I'm not gonna tell people how old I am, but I will tell you that we get the magazine from AARP. At home, and there was a feature article about this, and this is quite controversial in some of the more suburban parts of the country. And some communities, they gave examples, some communities that were very much opposed to it and did everything they could to oppose it for various zoning means. And then there were other communities that kind of embraced it for the reasons we've already talked about, or, provide some additional more affordable housing, or to provide housing for parents, grandparents, kids that just can't freaking find their way out of the house, et cetera.
But even your seasonal help, people that want to work at the Village Inn, but can't afford to drive 20 miles to go get an apartment. So,
One of the examples was a place for a caregiver to stay.
exactly.
Interesting.
So if everybody's in agreement, I'll do it by email. And just ask the question of KV cog
Very nice.
what they can do to educate and assist us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing it's gonna, they're gonna, I think, if I understand this correctly, you're supposed to get a grant from the state, and then they're probably gonna do something for all the towns in that region, but we'll find out.
So, I will put out there that as the meetings keep progressing, what we have in the pipeline, I guess, what was my question to you? For applications.
I've got one residential one, but he's not in a hurry. He's not gonna do anything till spring, so I keep kicking him down the road. He's okay with it. Now we got the core for next week. And we did one more residential that's gonna be coming in for next week. But there might just be room for discussion too.
So could we put on the agenda a discussion of the different applications as well as this?
Yeah.
Like,
Every meeting we can look at tackling one application to wrap it up. And then also, 50 minutes on that, and then 50 minutes on this. And once we finish one application, we move to the next one, and we keep working on this 15 minutes every meeting and updating where we're going with it. And then there's gonna come a time that once we collect all that we need to collect, we can have to sit down and work on it. So then it's gonna be just like the solar ordinance that we had to put a full meeting on it. But in the meantime, pitching, denting it and getting all the information and stacking it will be helpful, I will say.
Hans, do you have the email that I sent everybody with my thoughts on the tasks that are required, including this? Or do you want me to resend that to you?
I've got it, so.
You've
I
got
would
it.
say
So
everything.
I think you could tailor the agenda item from that.
Oh, it's your meeting, that you.
I mean, if-
You can do that. Sure.
You tell the agenda.
and maybe what
on
I'll,
the agenda.
So, what I will need then, we'll need to probably sit down together before sending the agenda, is we would like to keep the applications coming and, processing those.
Well, we owe it to Mr. Board to have hers. And, like I said, somebody said they're gonna be submitting one, but I haven't seen it yet, so.
so
That's always will be a priority, that's number one, and then we'll squeeze in George,
But I mean,
Rita.
if it's in a project that's gonna be next spring, I can tell them, it's not a priority for right now, because we know
Sure.
the fall, October, November, we're gonna be looking for stuff to do, but this is stuff we have to be ready for town meeting.
Mhm.
the,
I'll put together a timeline for this.
They won't be ready for this town meeting.
that's just the nature of how long it takes. I mean, maybe, you know, if it becomes clear that there's only minor changes needed, maybe, but I'm guessing that's not gonna be the case, but I just don't know at this point, because I kind of feel like we're punching in the dark.
We got a question here.
Yeah, you know, the new applicant across the way, the town office, the repair shop, the automobile repair shop,
Yeah,
when's he gonna start? Redoing the, it's a, you know, the garage over there, he's not doing anything at all. What,
he's in there working.
I know, but he's gonna change the landscape around a little bit?
He already did it before he started. They put all that drainage and stuff in before they even.
They did?
We did it before Christmas.
Oh, okay. Didn't look like it,
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
saw him doing it.
huh?
I drove by there all the time. I see him, I
Yeah,
watched the
then I
construction
think,
go on.
I think I asked him how long we're gonna have, the initial was parking there. Are we gonna have a lot of cars over there? And he said, no, he's gonna repair a car and you can't have too many cars over there. Wasn't it?
Well, he was gonna have a little lot,
Yeah, he was gonna have a parking lot.
yeah,
And there was the drainage that we were talking about.
Yeah.
They put all that in,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the parking, they were gonna park the vehicles perpendicular to Route 27, if I recall correctly. In that lot, where they had designed that lot, which at the moment they just kind of here and there, but
yeah, I thought it'd be a lot more appealing and it looked like it just, you know,
well, I wasn't even sure he was in operation yet.
He's in there making noise. Last,
so it's all conformed.
I left here the other night, he had. A cranked inside there, it was echoing out. But he's been in there working every night, he's got 2 rows of erosion control around it,
Yeah.
so he's.
So Pete, is your concern that
He's not making money, that's his problem.
well, yeah, he's not. Hasn't designed it the way it was approved by us, is that your concern?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be designed different, for parking and all the way the cars are sitting there and all that, I just thought it was gonna be different. Yeah, I didn't really look at the final application of it yet, but. Anyways, maybe get,
I stopped in a couple weeks ago and asked him, you know, because I saw that bus. It's a camper,
yeah,
and he's not living in it, it's not suitable for living.
okay,
And I asked when he's gonna start selling some cars, he says, when I get something down here that I can. You know, so basically. All right, so he's set up a garage, using it as a hobby or whatever now.
I saw a rental sign there too, car rental.
Is that what he's doing?
I saw something there or something.
No. Obviously, you've got money.
Didn't he had a second business up in Orono or someplace, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right. So this brought the discussion about future meetings and what is the pipeline?
You sent me an agenda, right?
Yeah.
Of your topic or your items that you want to prioritize.
Yeah. We do that. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. A second, I said a second, Nick,
yes,
Peter,
yes.
George,
Yes.
Craig. And we close.